Hello. Today we're going to talk about 1.6, which is absolute value equations and absolute value inequalities, but I broke it up into two videos. So this one's just talking about absolute value equations. Okay. So first things first, we're going to simplify some basic absolute value expressions. Okay. The absolute value of 10, hopefully you remember that as 10. And the absolute value of -4 is 4, because after all, absolute value is just the distance from 0. Okay, so -4 is 4 units from 0. 10 is 10 units from 0. Now 3 and 4, kids tend to want to jump the gun and they want to do the absolute value first. Okay, think of it as parentheses. You need to do what's inside first. Okay, and remember what I said before, addition and subtraction, you cannot take shortcuts. Okay, so this is not going to turn into 5 plus 6. Okay, -5 plus 6 is 1, and the absolute value of 1 is 1. Okay, for instance, again, number 4, 2 minus 10, that is -8, but then we do the absolute value and we get 8. Okay. All right. So the next one is number 5. We want to evaluate, all right, this expression if a is -2 and then if a is 1. So the first part, I'm going to plug in -2. All right. So -8 times -2 is 16. 16 minus 4 is 12. Absolute value of 12 is 12. All right. Now plug in 1. -8 times 1 minus 4. All right, we multiply, we get -8 minus 4. We get absolute value of -12. Oh, and look at that. We got 12. Okay, I want you to realize that those are equal. Okay, these expressions are the same. So we can plug in two different variables and get the same outcome. Okay, that's what's interesting about absolute value. So whenever you see absolute value, you should think to yourself, two things. All right, you can plug in two things and get the same outcome. Okay, so let's solve an equation. Okay, we have x, the absolute value of x plus 6 is 9. Okay, well, we can solve that as just x plus 6 equals 9. All right, so then we know, obviously, that gets us x equals 3. Well, let's also think, the absolute value of what is also going to be 9? Well, the absolute value of x plus 6, if that ended up equaling -9, we would get the same thing. Okay, notice if we solve this, we get x equals -15. And if we plug it in, it works. -15 plus 6 is -9. Absolute value of -9 is 9. So we solve two equations. We've got to make two equations. All right, we do that, all right, by having absolute value equal something. Okay, so like for number 7, we're going to have 3x minus 5 equal and 3x minus 5 equal. You make it 1 with the right hand side exactly how it is, so 11. And then the next time you do the opposite. Because if what's inside also was -11, it would also work. We solve those two equations. This one ends up being, let's see, add 5, you get 16. You get x equals 16/3. This one, you add the 5. You get -6. X equals -2. We can plug those in and easily see that they work. 3 times 16/3 is just 16. Minus 5 is 11. The absolute value of that is 11. Plug in -2. 3 times -2 is 6. Minus 5 is -11. absolute value of that is 11. All right, so check your work. Okay, that's an easy way to see if you're right or wrong. Okay, so after this test, you should know how you did because you plugged it in and you know if it's right or wrong. Okay, that's what I love about it. All right, let's keep going. All right, so let's see. Ooh, that one's a little hard to see. Roll up my page. Okay, so for this one, notice what's different. I have the absolute value minus 8 equals a number. Okay, so here I want to get that absolute value by itself. So I need to get rid of that negative 8. So let's add it to the other side. So then we get the absolute value of 3x plus 5 equals 12. Now you can solve it. Remember, you're solving two equations. All right, minus the 5, what is that, 7, 7/3. All right, so we have two answers here, 7/3 and negative 17/3. And again, you can plug those in, and both of those will work. Okay? All right, number 9. I'm going to do a different color. So first things first, I'd move that 3 over to the other side. So you'd get 3x plus 5 equals 2 minus 3. All right, then you set up your two equations. You have 3x plus 5 equals negative 1, and then you do the opposite. So 3x plus 5 equals positive 1. We solve it. We get 3x minus 5, negative 6. X equals negative 2. We also get 3x minus 5, so that's negative 4, negative 4/3. All right, so we got two answers, negative 2 and negative 4/3. You plug them in, and they should work, right? Well, 3 times negative 2 is negative 6, plus 5 is negative 1. Absolute value of that is just 1. 1 plus 3 is not 2. This one doesn't work. All right, maybe I messed something up there. Let me plug in negative 4/3. So we do 3 times negative 4/3. That becomes negative 4 plus 5 is 1. Absolute value of that is just 1. Plus 3, that's not 4. That's not 2. That's 4. Well, how does that keep happening? Let's think about that. Let's go back to our equation. 3x plus 5 must equal negative 1. What did we say about absolute value? Oh yeah, that represents distance. Distance cannot be represented by a negative number. So, we can't do this. We are never going to be able to solve this. This is a no solution. So just because you plugged it in and got something that was incorrect didn't mean that you did something wrong. I double checked everything. I redid the problem, right? I'm sure you guys will when that happens. All right, you should. But then look right here. This right here tells you an absolute value can't be negative. So this is never going to work out. All right, let's do some more practice.